Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Razak at CMtrading. Today's August 22nd, 2019, and today is Thursday morning. So looking at the major economic events of the day, starting out at 9:15 South African time out of Europe, we have French flash services PMI number coming out, and then at 9:30, German flash manufacturing PMI number coming out, and also services PMI number coming out. Now, these two numbers are very important, and they do apply to the inflationary report that happens to the economy, especially for the euro, as it's hovering near its all-time lows. Now, looking at that, I mean, pretty much the market is really flat on low volume. I mean, I'm talking about across the board, all Forex, commodities, indices, stocks, all of them are really low on volume now, but might be in anticipation to tomorrow's Jackson Hole, or it could be just it's summertime trading. Okay, so with that said, we're going to take a look at the euro. Now, looking at the indices, Dow Jones rallies close to its resistance, while in commodities, we see the gold is pretty much flat, like I mentioned, and oil retraces after hitting that $57 a barrel. Now, looking at the stocks, Microsoft and Apple still holding up after their gap up, and they're closing in, okay, and closer to their all-time highs. And lastly, looking at Bitcoin, it's trading on support. It failed to bounce yesterday, which is raising some questions there. Now let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So we're starting out here with a EURUSD 4-hour chart, as you can see, and the upper limit here is 111.04-ish level, and you can see that the lower limit is 110.80-ish level. Okay, so within that range, I mean, we're looking at 20 pips, okay, which is a very tight range to be in. Now we're hovering near the lows as these major numbers are coming out today for both the French and German markets, which constitutes one of the largest markets in the European Union. So with that said, any sort of breakout, either above this 111-ish level or below this 110.80-ish level, will give us some sort of indication which way this market will go. So just be aware of that numbers that it is coming out, because it's usually calm before the storm, and it could be the volume will pick up even though that we're in the heart of the last leg of summer trading. So keep that in mind. Now jumping into the commodities, you can see the gold pretty much is doing nothing here, okay, trading at 14.99, very tight range as well, and really nothing to write home about, okay. And this may pick up as the market changes tomorrow, today, perhaps, okay, but keep that in mind that there's nothing to really jump into in terms of the commodities there. Now looking at oil, this is something to really make note of, because we hit this $57 resistance level, okay, which is a minor resistance level. It's between our Fibonacci retracements, and we were tracing here down to 55.46-ish level, which is another minor support level. So we may see ourselves just bouncing off of these minor support levels throughout the day in anticipation of the hurricane season coming in, and hasn't really hit the Gulf of Mexico yet. So I don't see any sort of changing in the price of oil just yet, but it may just hover around these two areas for now. Okay, it stopped to trade together with the Dow Jones, as we've seen them trading together, because we saw the Dow Jones, looking at that, rally yesterday to 26,200-ish level. We just hit shy of 26,300-ish level, as you can see right there. That was our resistance level, as we've seen it several times before, and that's really the place to break it. Okay, now we're getting some mixed signals in the markets. Now Microsoft and Apple are relatively strong to the market, while we see the old school type of stocks like Alcoa being very weak in the market. Okay, so with that said, there's a mixed bag, and there's a real pull between the bulls and the bears of the Dow Jones market. So with that said, if we don't break above this 26,300-ish level, we may see ourselves retracing back to the 25,800-ish level, somewhere around these areas. Okay, so we may see that. Okay, with that said, okay, would like to see some sort of resolution to this economic war between China and the United States. And if that does happen, if there's a resolution there, we should expect the market to actually, fly. Okay, because that's really what's holding the market back, is really, some of these tariff wars against China. And if there's a resolution to it, we'll see even the Alcoa stocks, okay, those brick and mortar type of stocks that are, more goods related, will start rallying. If they start rallying, the general market will start rallying as well. So that's something to consider as we see that later today. Now looking at that Microsoft, you see that it's on its upper limit. We gapped up several days, 1, 2, 3 day gapping up, and this seems like it's exhausting its move at these areas. But remember, we're only about $3 off of our all-time highs here, 141, and also the fact that we have this Jackson Hole symposium tomorrow, which is adding a tremendous amount of weight to the markets, and especially that Fed Chairman Powell will be speaking tomorrow. These things are factoring in, as well as the fact that we're trading in the summer, okay, which is really low volume. So with that said, okay, if we don't break above this, we may see it just retrace a little bit here to maybe 137-ish level, if it does retrace. Now, if Apple retraces and Microsoft retraces, which are the stronger ones, I expect the rest of the market to sell off as well. Now, looking at Apple here as well, you see that we've gotten strong here, but we are at resistance level. 213 is your resistant-ish level. Remember, 230 is our all-time highs here. So if it doesn't break above it, okay, if it doesn't carry the market above it, if the market doesn't break above 26,333, then we may see this actually retrace. Now, lastly, looking at Bitcoin, now this has really been the one, okay? Great volatility. We've seen it, bounce between these two areas, and it's really hovering with our retracement area right here, okay? Now, I'm a little bit cautious here to pick it up on the long side. I did mention it yesterday because ultimately, it did nosedive, okay, which I mentioned yesterday, but nevertheless, it is trading on support-ish area, okay? So a couple of factors looking into this. I wouldn't get too aggressive in either direction right here, just because, the climate, okay, if you will, it's lower volume, number one, and number two is that it did nosedive, okay, right before it hit the support level. So with that said, you just want to keep it on your radar, especially if it does break below it, then we may see a further correction on the downside. So that could actually hit the 94, 91-ish level if that actually happens. These are my two support levels. These are my subsequent support levels if it does break it on the downside. So keep that in your on your radar for now until you see some sort of breakout. This is Fred Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.